Hey guys, welcome back to Jordan Samuel Skin Talks. It's July. I can't believe it's July. I mean, we say that all the time though, right? Like maybe you don't. I do. But I feel like sometimes in Seattle, I always want to rush through like November to like the super dark months. And actually today, it's quite late for me to be filming how I usually film. But I forget in the summer, I've been here 20 years. The summer in Seattle, it's light out, late. 2, martini, because I'm not gonna do that many videos without a martini. You got my, I think you're sick of my iced coffee from last time, so now, martini. Okay, jumping into it, it's July. A few things. First, and this video is gonna be about, and this is more food for thought for you because I have procrastinated on doing this video because I know my own personal issues with this subject that I will talk about, and I think a lot of you are having them because I've seen a lot of them in my practice myself. But I also don't want to sort of talk about something or create something or get something in your head that's maybe not exactly correct for you. So again, as with anything, like I say, take everything with a grain of salt because your skin is different, your environment, your stress level, your diet, any internal factors you specifically have going on are gonna make things unique for you. So, sort of say that first. So this video is about, I see a lot of people who will react to, you know, and it's easiest with, and I'm gonna target or say an acid or retinol because you expect something, like you expect not a reaction, but you expect a tingle, you possibly expect redness, you possibly expect a little bit of sensitivities. However, there's a product, a quite popular product that I have used before. And when I use it, my face turns bright red. And the first time I used it, which was over 10 years ago now, I was like, oh, it's the acids, right? Of course, it has lactic and salicylic acid. Of course it's the acids. It must be a super strong percentage of acids. Didn't think anything of it, just thought it was the acids. And so that you would keep pushing on too, because again, we hear there's a few things that your skin should tingle from, and there's others that it shouldn't. You know, sometimes I hear people say that their skin tingles from something, and I'm like, ooh, it shouldn't. You know, it doesn't have an acid, it doesn't have a mint or a cinnamon type ingredient, so it really shouldn't tingle. Anyway, so that aside, I used it, I thought it was the acids, yada, yada, yada. Then I started formulating products with a chemist, and I started getting the same exact formula with different preservative systems, just because. And then I was like, oh, my skin's really sensitive to X preservative. And it's very easy to see when you take the same exact formula and the only thing you change in it is the preservative system, then you can really see like what your skin is reacting to. Okay, so is it a preservative? And I know people poo-poo preservatives a lot with being in a low percentage, and they are absolutely in a low percentage. The thing is, it can still be irritating to the skin, especially if your skin is sensitive or sensitized. It still can be just irritating. It can make the skin itch, it can make the skin red. Anyway, long story long still, is that I went back to this product, and sure enough, the preservative system in the product is what is actually making my skin red and inflamed and irritated, not the acids. Go figure, right? Because then I've also tested it out, granted it's a different formula, but a stronger acid with a different preservative system and not having that redness issue. Anyway, this is all to say that I see a lot of people a lot of the time, and really a lot of people a lot of the time, say this and be like, oh, it's fine, my skin's just red from the acid, and I'm looking and I'm knowing that they're probably having a similar reaction I did. And this can create many different things because also it starts going into blaming an ingredient for a reaction when you might not be sure of what it is. I luckily have had the experience to again work with the same formula with different preservatives, or even the same formula with like a different percentage of acid if I'm working on an acid or whatever. So I've had the ability to really see what these effects are on the skin in the behind the scenes type way, and want to pass that information on. So I will see somebody say like, oh, it's the acid, my skin's turning red from the acid, and I'm knowing, looking at the formula, they're probably having an issue with the preservative system in there. Is that 100% of the time? No, of course not. It is a blanket statement, but it is important because, again, that's where you get down the slippery slope of you all of a sudden think you're very sensitive to salicylic acid or you're very sensitive to lactic acid, when in fact, they're not the problem at all. It's a preservative system. And when you really want to tackle skin issues and skin concerns, and especially people with sensitive, sensitized skin, it becomes frustrating because you feel like you're almost reacting to everything. And one of the last things you check, or that I see that people check, are the preservatives. And I'm not, as you know, I'm not anti-paraben even. I'm not anti-preservatives. Preservatives need to be in the product for a reason. We've seen too many cases of things getting, recalled because molds grow, and that's way worse than not having a preservative system. However, what can happen is skin can be sensitive to these preservatives. They can have different issues, from redness to irritation to a little bit of an itching to a stinging. Again, things that could sound like a retinol, things that could sound like a vitamin C, things that could sound like an acid. So then you go down this slippery slope of, and trust, I've done my own research on that with vitamin C, because for a while I was like, maybe it's not the vitamin C, maybe it's the preservative system, maybe it's the delivery system. And I looked at everything across the board. I'm not so great with vitamin C, we found out. But this is just a little video because it's, and again, I'm sort of like dancing around things right now because I don't want to spell it out for you exactly as it is for me, because I don't think that's going to be exactly your issue. But it's just a way to say that if you feel, and I've done videos on this before, that like you think you're reacting to something and it's actually something entirely different. Same thing with this. It could be a preservative, it could be anything really, a botanical ingredient, it could be an essential oil, it could be an emulsifier, it could be the acid, it could be a combination of the two. It could be the fact that you're using an acid and then that preservative is in it, or botanical extract, or whatever. But again, seeing it firsthand in formulating with a chemist, and there's been times where I immediately put something on my face knowing that the formula is great and knowing that we've changed the preservative system, and immediately I'm like, no, it's a no. I'm not approving it, it doesn't work. And we keep going back to the drawing board until that is fixed. But I thought you lot would find it interesting, because I think sometimes it can be frustrating trying to figure out what your skin is sensitive to, especially when you're using a lot of products, which of course you know I'm not a fan of. But if you are, just pay attention and know that like what you think might be the main culprit isn't necessarily the main culprit, or is the main culprit. What did I just say? That was wrong. Take a sip. 2, it doesn't matter where it shows up on the ingredient list. Retinol could be the bottom of the list because it's in a small percentage, and it's still going to have a big impact on the skin. The same thing's going to happen with preservatives, the same thing's going to happen with fragrance, the same thing's going to happen with botanical extracts. So when people are very confident about one thing being the issue when they've only used one product, I get a little concerned with that, because I don't want people to miss out on, if for some reason they're blaming an ingredient that's not the problem. A, they're not getting to the root of the issue, which could be messing with their skin. But 2, they might be missing out on a really great ingredient because they think it's X, Y, and Z. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. Thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful July 4th. Can't believe we're here. I'll say it again. And until next time, bye.